straight out of the box, and everyone was looking around being like, ooh, maybe this route's not that hard. And then he was the only person to top it all day. So yeah, he had a really good start for Sasha.
Yeah, he is quality throughout. And this is an order in opposite order. So the ones coming down the bottom, they qualified in first position and they'll be out last. The ones at the beginning, they'll be out first. They qualified in last. But especially with the women, I look at the names of the women there. Futaba Ito in last place. She's not one of those athletes who's just there to make up numbers with Futaba. I mean, she's coming out first and therefore last, but she could come into the finals here tonight.
Yeah, I think definitely. Obviously, best known as a bouldering athlete. I think she's been in lots of finals in that discipline, but she's been really consistent for a long time on the lead season. I think she's been in most of the semi-finals this year, so I think coming out in 26th is not necessarily representative of what we'll see from her today.
Yeah, don't stop watching because you think you're on the less good athletes. Everyone here is quality, and there is a man with some quality, Stefan Schretz from Austria. He'll be the first athlete out. Now, because we have an injury for the women, Camilla Pouget is injured. That means we'll have the men climbing all by themselves to start off with, just so we can get the numbers all sorted out. So, Stefan will be underway on the route on the right. And Billy, I mean, first impressions of this route, we both thought it looked fairly straightforward, but that might mean some pretty tough climbing along the way.
Yeah, we were saying that, and now I'm just looking at the start of the route, and I actually think it looks really very stressful. There's just nothing but thumb catches and volumes to stand on, so maybe not so physically hard, but I know as an athlete I wouldn't want to be coming out to this straight out of the box.
Yeah, it looks horrible. I mean, he's standing on not the best feet, especially with that left. You've got to be careful down low, and yeah, it's designed just to sort of unsettle the athletes a bit. Stefan is into the first quick draw. So if you're new to climbing, let me just briefly explain the rules. You start at the bottom, you climb to the top, and you quick clip all the quick draws on the way, and those things he's clipping the rope to there, that's a quick draw. That's the basics. There is more complicated, but we'll take you through that when certain rules come up. This is our semi-final, and we're looking for finals places.
Matthias is looking really comfortable so far, working his way through this pinch section. Nothing looking like it's challenging too much, and he's got quite a nice flow going.
Yeah, so he's underway. So he's underway into the yellow and blue section. I was just checking with names then. I think that's Stefan, right?
Yeah, apologies for me. I'm getting my Austrians mixed up.
So I'm glad someone else is doing it for a change. Usually it's me.
I think Matthias will be coming out a little bit later on. Apologies. This is Steph.
So Steph is upside down. Now this move could be done a few ways. We saw him trying to go feet first, then flips it with the hands. And the route setter said there's opportunity to do that in this sequence.
Yeah, it looks like he's not wanting to go feet first, instead choosing a facing the crowd beater, which they sound like they're very much enjoying, and now getting his feet out.
Yeah, the problem is campusing seems a bit more straightforward, but it depends how much energy it leaves him towards the top. But anyway, he's through and clean.
Yeah, he's got through that section okay, but I guess we'll see whether or not it's sapped him coming into this higher section.
So the traverse now before the final yellow and blue ball, with a pocket inside it, just creating a little bit more 3D nature on this route with those volumes.
It looks like fairly good holds on these pockets right now, but it's forcing to have a lot of weight on one limb at a time, so you're going to have to do a lot of pulling. As you can see there, he's just matching on top of his own hand to get a little bit more purchase. And a really bad heel hook there. Yeah, I think it was probably best off switching that to a toe.
Yeah, you'd have to be so accurate to rock up on that, and he wisely decides not to. But this is one of the first Crux sequences here, this traverse. All on the arms at this point, just grabbing moves. That left foot pops a little.
See, he's really trying now. He's got a little bit stuck without any opposition. And we lose him.
Right, so first athlete done on the first Crux. So apart from a slightly awkward start, from looking at it from an outside of the GB team, it seems like he's in good form at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. When I've been speaking to Jim all season, he's been saying he's been in the best shape of his life, and he's maybe not been able to show that to quite the way that I think he was hoping to this season, but yeah, I think he's coming into his own now, and I think this is his second semi-final so far. Our third included the European Championships recently, which he had a good result at. So from what we've seen of the route so far, I think Jim will enjoy this. He likes getting physical and jumping around on hold, so I think that inversion and the pockets after that will really suit him.
Yeah, and he's safely through the first sequence, is clipping the draws in the corner of your picture. Futaba Ito is underway from Team Japan, and as you said, more of a boulderer, but making good inroads into the lead at the moment. And of course, with this new Olympic format, she's going to have to get good at both if she wants a medal.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no room to be a specialist nowadays if you're trying to go for the Olympics. And it's more and more common now that the boulderers do really well in the lead and the lead climbers do really well in the boulderers. And I think it's made it harder for everybody, because you turn up to an event and you sort of feel like you know who will do well, and then suddenly someone from a different discipline is performing really, really well, and it's just the field density has gone up loads, and yeah, it makes it very unforgiving now if you don't have a performance that you're happy with.
Yeah, and as we saw, if you were watching the comp in Munich, where we had the Olympic format on show for the first time properly with international athletes, well, European athletes, but the big ones. Yeah, being an all-rounder, you have to be good at both. It's no good just thinking, well, I can let my lead carry you through. You have to have everything.
Yeah, absolutely. The scoring system has changed a little bit now for the combined discipline, with it being just lead and boulder. So it favours even more now consistency rather than just having really excellent performances in a single discipline. We see Jim here getting fully inverted and going with the toes first sequence, and it looks really good. It seems like he's used a lot less energy there than Steph did. Maybe a little bit precarious on the toes, but I think he's making it work.
So Jim is through and safe and is now resting, whilst Futaba, and it's the first time we're seeing the women, she's into the pinchy part, and this is where we think it starts to get difficult for the women.
Yeah, quite open-handed holds here that it's gonna force you to be really physical and throw yourself around on them. A lot of opposition where you're going to need to be squeezing really hard to make the holds work, and putting a lot of tension through your feet and squeezing between the holds so that they don't come away from the wall.
Yeah, and she's in potentially the first rest there on the left, but Jim is snatching a little bit of that quick draw.
Yeah, maybe starting to look a little bit stressed, but I think he'll like these pockets. Not many feet, so he's just going to have to pull really hard through this section.
Sounds a bit like Jim, that, yeah. So he's missing it, though. Oh, and then bumps into
himself onto that little jib. And we saw Steph's really awkward heel hook here. Maybe Jim is going to, ooh. Okay, going for a lower foot in the pocket, maybe a little bit more insecure, but he's making it work.
Meant that he could step through with that left foot. That actually sorted him out a bit for this next section. Blocked crimps. It's good to see them for the first time.
Seeing how poor that hold is, and it blocked it to make sure that you can't get another hand on it, and maybe so that it can't be used for a foot later on as well. To get really high up into his shoulders to get up to the next hold. He'd really like to pinch Jim, so I think he'll quite enjoy this hold.
Yeah, Jim, although looks shaky, he now gets the chance to recompose, and Futaba's moved off the rest, and she's now starting the traverse right, where it crosses pretty close to where Jim is.
Yeah, both our athletes at a similar height up the wall right now.
And Futaba trying to work out some heels in here, but that hold is blocked for that reason, to stop that. And yet, as we see these women do so often, she's found a heel hook where there shouldn't really be one. And there we get a close-up of the right foot of Futaba Ito as she sits back.
And she seems to have made a really good rest there. Oh, we seem to have lost Jim.
Yeah, similar position to Stefan, maybe slightly higher up, and Futaba goes as well. She looked uncomfortable for a while, couldn't get anything back in that half rest.
Yeah, it seemed like she was trying to get more out of it than maybe there was to get. And soon as she was trying to work into that green section.
Same time, Lana Skusek and Zan Sudar on stage, and I don't know if you can hear it, but the crowd certainly picked things up when these two walked out.
Really good to see Zan out there. Like I said, this is one of the predominantly boulder athletes who's making a transition into lead with the Olympics coming up. I don't think he's got a vast amount of experience at the World Cups, at least recently, but clearly it's working out really well for him here at his home World Cup in the semi-final.
So people will look at this and think, well, hang on a sec, climbing's climbing. Why does it matter if you're a boulderer or a lead climber? But traditionally, and before really the Olympics, they used to be very different, and you train in different ways, right?
Yeah, this didn't seem to be so much of a culture of people doing both disciplines, and like the odd person, like your Jakob or Andre would do both disciplines, but for the most part, people stuck to what they were doing. Whereas nowadays, everybody is doing both disciplines, and it just requires you to be much more rounded in your training. You can't just go and do pure strength all the time, because if you turn up to the roots and you're tired by the third clip, you're not getting very far up it.
You can always spot a bouldering quote specialist because they tend to climb it a lot faster than anyone else.
Yeah.
Just trying to get through it before the endurance burns out.
May as well have our running shoes on as we try and beat the pump up the wall.
Yeah. So Lana is underway. She's through the blues nice and easily into the whites, and it doesn't look like she burned any energy getting through that.
No, seemingly quite straightforward at the start of the women's route, just getting them introed, getting a little bit of pump in the forearms as the moves get harder higher up.
And Zan now heel to hand as he goes right, and he comes into the first of the pockets. It's always difficult to tell how good a pocket is because your fingers sink into it and you think it's great, but it could be shallow in there, it could be slopey, the friction might be bad.
Yeah, knowing that set of holds as well, there's so many varieties of them. Like, even climbing them for years, you still don't know what you're going to get, and often it's very disappointing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, Zan goes feet first, and out of the two methods we've seen, feet first does look best at the moment.
Yeah, seemingly that's taken a lot less effort. As much as I enjoyed Steph's method of facing out to the crowd, it was a good show, but yeah, I think the toe hooks is definitely a bit more efficient.
So Lana bumps that right hand up. It's got a weird sort of backwards pinch going on, and now crosses more traditionally in.
Interesting that she's not chosen to use the little thumb catch that the setters have put on there. Perhaps it's just not quite in the right position for her hand.
Yeah, that must be tricky. I mean, hand size does make a difference. We'll keep an eye on that for you because it'll be interesting. And Zan now is fighting. That clip seems like a real burner.
Yeah, really locked off on your arm, and your bicep's going to be feeling that one for sure. You see if he chooses to match on top of his hand, just using the volume to get a little bit more pull.
Well, perhaps that's some of that boulder endurance leaving him, but it did look like he hadn't quite got the sequence through. That was a big bump by using that sloper as well. It looked awkward and didn't quite have the height on it.
Yeah, I think maybe he was a little bit indecisive, perhaps a little bit unsure of whether or not he had enough pull, and in those situations, generally the best answer is to fully commit to your best guess of what to do. As soon as you start hesitating, the pump just gets you, and it's very unforgiving.
Yeah, and Lana goes down as well, and she shakes her head. So, 2 early falls from the first Slovenian athletes, but don't worry, Slovenia, there is I prefer it when she's not, because that means she's done really well, and she actually came up to me and said, I won't be doing semi-finals with you, Matt, so it's good to see her.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
Exactly, yeah. So, Louis Gundolf as well on the right. Again, someone who does a lot of bouldering as well as lead climbing, and he's really come into his own at the moment. Was in the youth scene a lot and has made this transition into the senior circuit. And Stasha is underway. Now, she is one of those athletes who generally does need to climb a little bit quicker.
Yes, for sure. She's got a lot of history in lead climbing when she was younger on the youth circuit, but as she came into the seniors, she was very much focused more towards bouldering, and she's had a lot of success there. So I think you can see in the way that she climbs that she understands lead climbing, but perhaps the endurance isn't quite there in the same way for the specialists.
Yeah, and I know she's been working on it through the second half of the season. But she's through the blues, and then Louis is chalking up after that horrible start. It looks worse every time someone does it.
Maybe being a little bit stressed after that little bit traverse and trying to settle himself before blasting through this pinch section, which I think for a lot of the lead climbers will feel a lot more comfortable.
Absolutely. So Louis is underway now. Stasha a little higher up after an easy beginning for the women. And Stasha is resting. It's interesting with Stasha. I was talking to her about the qualifying routes and her sort of expectations of her own abilities. She knew exactly where she was probably going to fall because she's very good at reading that. So I know she would have looked at this route and she'll have a point in her head where she thinks she can get to.
Yeah, it's interesting with the athletes. Some of us are really analytical and will watch loads of the other athletes, find the athletes who are either a similar size or often perform similarly to us to try and get a really good sense of how we're going to find the route as well. And other people are much more sort of laissez-faire about it, and they'll just see what happens when they get on the route. And I think there's value to both options. Perhaps if you don't look into it too much, you allow yourself to be a little bit more instinctive on the wall and you'll just find your way. Or you can be very analytical about it and know exactly what to do, and it'll feel more like you're sort of executing a clinical process. And it just depends on, I guess, what type of person you are, what works for you.
I'm just looking at Louis' screen. It looks like he's gone way past that clip. He has to clip all the quick draws, remember, on the route. And he's committed to this sequence, and I don't think he can get back to it.
I think he's probably going to need to reach back down to that pocket, or maybe he'll be able to get the quick draw swinging enough to reach to it, but yeah, he's got himself in a little bit of a sticky position here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, safety is also key. He is fairly close to the ground. I'm just sort of calculating that swing in my head. He's going to come quite close, and he's carrying on.
I guess in theory, you could reach from that position, so perhaps he can still get scoring, but man, I would not want to be the B-layer right now.
No.
He managed to reach to it.
And he does a double clip, so maybe smart from Louis, but I think he might have made a little miscalculation there. Especially now he's down climbed to re-rest.
Yeah, it definitely will have taken a little bit of energy for him, but I'm glad that he's made it work.
Yeah, me too. Stasha, meanwhile, drops into the top of the women's leaderboard.
Really cranking that knee down into that drop knee to try and get her hips closer to the wall. You see her fighting now. She's not managed to wrap her fingers in super well in that hold. And we lose her.
Yeah, that was a bit of a fire off with the left.
You can really see the change in style there in the route. It goes from all of these white pinches and then suddenly it's really small crimps. And if you've not got much left in your fingers, it's going to be really hard to close up on those and get much purchase.
Well, Stasha should be pretty happy. She's halfway through. We'll have to wait and see whether it'll be enough. And Louis came down as well.
Job to bring it all back together and put it in the right place for me.
There you go. And now it's in a plastic box. So there is Oscar as he approaches the wall. Good to see him in a semi-finals. He's one of our younger athletes coming through.
Yeah, he seems to be coming into his own a little bit this season. I think he was in semi-finals in Briançon recently, and again now. Him and his brother have been travelling around Europe all summer. It's really good to see both of them sort of trading places in the rounds, pushing one another forwards.
And there's Mattia from Austria. Jakob Schubert, her teammate, who won in Munich for the combined. He's in Flatanger in a cave, sport climbing, so he won't be here. Nor is Adam Ondra or Stefano Gisolfi. In fact, they're all in the same cave. Maybe we'll fly out there and
you
just...
should be having the World Cup in Flatanger
yeah, well,
instead.
there's someone who would like that, I tell you. Mattia makes the double clip down low. Pretty cruisy through here. Big feet, positive holds. She just makes sure of the moves. Bit of dual text going on, or no text. It's the slippy part. It says a screw on to create friction, not the volume itself. And Oscar, I keep saying Victor. I keep going Oscar. Oscar is, there you go, just 17. But no medals to his name, but certainly one to watch, and one people are talking about as one to watch.
Yeah, certainly. To be making semi-finals already at the age of 17 is a really good sign of things to come. A lot of the time, I think especially in the men, it takes quite a few years to crack the seniors when you're coming through from the juniors. So, yeah, impressive work at 17, certainly.
Gets a bit tangled up in the rope there, sorts himself out, and he's approaching the first Cruxy sequence. Feet first or hands first. A lot of rubber now from those toe patches.
Good to see him getting that clip in early this time.
Yeah, thank goodness. My heart could beat. Mattia is starting to work hard on the women's route, just making that pinch, but she's having to really fight as she loses the left leg swinging. How's she still on?
Making it work. It's looking really powerful, that sequence for her. Maybe she's chilled out just a little bit.
And Oscar claws his way through. He went feet first. Made the clip, thank goodness.
It's looking really relaxed still, actually. Hopefully feeling comfortable still on this pocket section.
Yeah, both athletes looking good. Mattia is just below where things get pretty steep for the women. And she falls.
Yeah, that was tough. I thought maybe she'd got a little bit back after looking like she was struggling a few moves before, but maybe she needed to make another move or so before she could properly recover. Oscar had to take that big cut. Still looking really comfortable.
Yeah, powerful there with the shoulders. And then he goes straight up and drops down.
Saves it.
So he had to drop. Second time he got fingertips on it, but not quite.
Oh, that was really unfortunate. It was a great effort for him to save it in the first place. They're getting closer and closer to where they need to be, and they often get more and more stressed and frantic, and they're so desperate to get to that point that it's difficult to remain in that flow state.
Well, two new ones are out on stage. Marcello Bombardi is back in a semi-final. Good to see him. And then another Slovenian athlete, Katja Debovic, is there for the women. as you'd expect, there is a big Slovenian presence here. And I mean, the fact that one of their head coaches helped, design and get this wall into reality, into actually being built, is just an example of how much Slovenia need this and want a wall like this.
Yeah, I think it's really cool how much Slovenia as a nation are investing into this sport. For such a small country, they've got a huge depth of athletes, and they're really pouring a lot of resource into it, building new walls like this and leveling up the events that they're putting on is really, really exciting. And I think the athletes really get a lot from it, and there's a lot of cohesion in that team, and they all push one another forwards really well. And we're seeing that with how many people are in this semi-final today. And people like Katja, who aren't traditionally a lead climber, more of a boulderer, but we're seeing success with when they have facilities like this to train on.
And Katja is underway on the left. Marcello's through the hard bit, and he gets sort of a toe press in there, changed it to a heel.
Yeah, made light work of the sketchy section down low and just got to pull between these crimps. Maybe doesn't look too hard for the athletes this section, but there's a lot of weight going through each arm for each move, and it'll be really sapping for them.
Katja gets a high heel hook. You've got to be precise on that. And switches it over. Looking for any position to rest.
And coming into this tricky section with the thumb catch. Yeah, this looks like a better sequence than going right hand up like Matea did, which is the move that seemed to really sap her on her attempt. That sequence looking much better for Katja.
So her first opportunity to rest is coming up here. Gets that toe in.
Yeah, making use of that toe hook. Be able to have a little shake here, and then she needs to work her feet up so she can stand into the undercut above her and get her weight high enough to make use of that hold.
Kind of an awkward rest because it's only really one hand, one arm, and you can see the amount she's having to sort of adjust to take the other hand off.
Yeah, the hold itself is relatively positive, but because you're having to use the toe hook to hold your body in the right position to use it, it's a lot of body tension to make it work.
She goes just off our camera there. And we were watching Marcello having to fight, and he's still on the wall fighting. He's made it up onto the dish. There it is. So he's crimping that screw on, rocks up on the heel.
Also opting for that sketchy heel hook. Perhaps it's not such a bad beater after all. Actually looking quite comfortable, locking that down. I say comfortable, you can see it in his face. He's definitely trying.
He was full effort to get that far, so every move is an advantage here for him. Or maybe that's just his face. I haven't seen Marcello climb for a bit.
Well, I think he's normally a really good fighter. Getting up into another physical section here. Really good drop knee, getting his weight into the wall there. I think this is where we lost Steph, and he just tried to throw up to that hold, whereas this drop knee has sucked his hips in and made it quite straightforward for him.
Well, there's the leaderboard on the right. So remember, we're looking for our top 8 to get through, and Marcello Bombardi works his way towards Jim Pope's score. He's our current hot seat sitter.
Getting another look at this orange section. It looks really difficult to get your weight over here. Powerful move from Marcello. Has he got enough?
I thought he was going to go to a pinch with that right hand. Yeah.
Whoa, I think
he went for almost a guppy without going into the pinch first of all.
Yeah, I was expecting him to come all the way past it and take it pinch with his right hand, but his body position wasn't quite right. So
he's an athlete out. Sported a fantastic moustache.
Certainly one of the strongest bits of facial hair on the circuit. Maybe only John Brosler in the speed climbing is the challenger.
Nathaniel Coleman had quite a good one going on earlier on. Or it looked like that from a distance.
That's an excellent point. Combined with his bandana
exactly,
as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Full 80s. So there is Hannah Moyle quickly getting started. She had such a good time in Munich. She was a real celebrity out there. She was on every TV channel, it seemed, after her silver medal.
Yeah, she had a sensational event in the bouldering and then was really consistent through to the combined finals as well.
Yeah, nearly got a podium for the combined, not quite.
Well, she's been really consistent in the lead as well. I think she missed a couple of the events, but all of the events that she's been to, I'm pretty sure she's been pretty comfortably in the semi-finals. So, yeah, we're hoping to see a good performance from her today.
Yeah, she'd love to make finals. So she's on the left, Martin on the right. Hannah got through that first section so quickly.
Yeah, she's absolutely sped through that. I wouldn't have said she's normally a really fast climber, but maybe she's made a change for today and maybe it'll work for her.
So there is Martin getting the support from the Slovenians as he gets the heels locked in. Really solid. Marcella had a bit of a moment there, but Martin much better through that.
Yeah, looking really comfortable so far.
Now, is he going to flip things? Go feet first. Oh, that's a good split screen of all the action. We can see both athletes at the same time, which I love.
Yeah, Hannah into this first tricky section, but making it look quite straightforward so far. She's got a little bit more height than a lot of the girls, so she might be able to stand up a bit more comfortably into this next undercut. Even being able to get her right foot down low for this rest, which I think will make a big difference in how much she can recover there.
I love watching a move like we're seeing now because it makes you realise why climbing shoe manufacturers put so much rubber on the front. It really shows it off. Well, he's through, but now having to really work. That crimp at the back is slopey, not brilliant. And he's going to make a big move off it. Gets it now.
Making that hold look quite positive, but to me it looked really terrible. Quite comfortable, you can see that he's working, but I think he's definitely got a fair few moves in him still. Getting the flip in ahead of time. Now he's going to be cutting his feet.
So cuts, locks off as our crowd watch. And Hannah seemed to get a knee bar under, but I'm not sure if it was a proper one. She had something put in underneath.
A little bit of something. Wow, managing to get really far ahead with her feet. Might make this transition tricky, but now she's already into the more comfortable position.
Yeah, Martin enters the first crux, crossing through.
Fight there in his shoulders. Oh, he makes the move work, but surely he's got nothing left.
Yeah, and he goes for the plus and comes down.
A really impressive heel hook on the wrong side of the volume. We're back with Hannah.
Yeah, and Hannah, big cut loose there. Not a lot of effort on her face, but that will have cost her a bit. And she nears Stasha's high point.
Just heading into the crimpy section. I'd expect Hannah to be much happier now that she's on these little crimps.
Yeah, but can she get in it? She still hasn't completed this transition.
She's moving past the clip as well. That could be a problem for her. It's a long way out right to the next hold, so she's definitely going to need to get that before she moves on.
So decision moment, does she go back for the clip or carry on going? I think she's got to carry on because she's pumped. Now, there might be a slight Yanya effect going on here, and like bear with me for this, which is that we know that she's been finding the routes easy all year, or she said she has. I wonder how hard the route setters have been up and then claim a plus. It's a bit different now.
Yeah, it was a very eloquent way to describe it, Matt.
It's a very complicated looking rule. I mean, it's in 4 bits on my screen.
I think a lot of the athletes find it incredibly confusing, and there's no end of debates between them, and you'll see appeals going in at the end of rounds, left, right and centre, because what one person considers positive movement is not necessarily what somebody else considers it. So, yeah, you'll see somebody slap a hold and they're absolutely convinced that they were going in the right direction, but the judges might say differently.
I like it. I think you need a bit of a debate in any sport. I mean, like, half the fun of football is just talking about how rubbish the referee is. So we need that in climbing. You know, we need the after competition debates happening.
It's always a good bit of drama, and I think as a spectator I enjoy it, but I'm very glad that I'm not one of the judges in these situations.
Well, we have Nicolas Collin from Belgium and Alana Yip from Canada. You saw her climbing just now. Alana looking in good form.
Nicolas I always really enjoy watching on lead climbs. I can't tell whether he's a really good fighter or he just really likes to scream, but generally he'll start to shout and you'll expect him to be falling off, and then he'll do another 10 moves just shouting his head off, and it's so much fun to watch.
Keep an eye out for that. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear him. I'm not quite sure where the microphones are placed for this comp. Sometimes they're right on the wall and we get to hear it. So Alana bumps up. She's looking good through this. She will enjoy this kind of slightly more physical section of the route.
Yeah, Alana's quite a physical climber. She likes getting her shoulders involved. So I think this white section will be really good for her. It'll be key if she can climb it really efficiently. So then when the green crimps are coming up later on, she'll have a little bit left in her fingers.
Yeah, she's resting nice and low. She is about to go up. Let's see how she does this. Oh, she missed it there.
Manages to recover, whether or not that's shaken her or not. She's got well set on the thumb catch on there.
So, drama for Alana on the left. And Nicolas now is not screaming yet, but he is upside down. Oh, there's a scream. First one.
There it is.
It's spotted.
Nothing to worry about. He'll have plenty more moves in him, I'm sure.
Yeah, and he rests well with that heel, but it's so awkward.
Really good hip mobility there to keep the heel on whilst he placed his left foot back down to the
The
pocket.
way they can point their toes as well always blows my mind. That's hard to do in that position, but it puts so much more weight into the heel.
Really strained and then just crank the toe all the way down to get more force through it.
Yeah, it's the one I try to practice, but I'm not that bendy. Oh, Alana goes on the left. So did that play with her head, play with her endurance a bit, maybe?
Saying earlier, it's so hard to recover mentally from those. And even if you feel like you've relaxed, it doesn't quite happen.
Nicholas has started screaming. It is official. He lets out a big one there.
I don't think the mics are that near, but we can hear them anyway.
I actually heard it. We're quite a way back from the stage here, behind an audience. Well, there you go.
I'm glad he's delivering on this. I was worried he wasn't going to. Come on, Nicholas.
Look at this from him as he battles through, but he still needs to find those recovery points. Jeez, wow. Huge screams.
Looking really good, actually. The screams are working for him.
Alana smiles upwards. She's enjoying it, encouraging him as well.
I'm going for a different sequence here to what Marcello did. He had his left hand lower on the undercut. Nicholas trying to find some sort of knee bar. That might be a sign that he's getting very tired.
Yeah, and he definitely misread that, because now he comes into it properly. It comes down, head in his hands.
I think he realised he was too tired for the sequence that he had in mind and just tried to make it on. Whereas today, yeah, we had an entire climbing centre to go at, a nice yoga area to warm up in, fingerboards, pull-up bars, everything that you could possibly want as an athlete, and it makes the whole process a lot smoother, certainly.
Takes away the excuses though when you fall off, that's the problem.
That is a good point. You can't claim not to be warmed up properly.
Ryu Nakagawa from Japan is on the left, and Philip Schenk is on the right, and Philip was great in Munich.
Yeah, he's a really standout performance there. You saw it in Chamonix as well. I believe he made his first lead final there, and then I was really impressed by that. And then he's followed it up in a big way in Munich, and in bouldering as well as lead. Was he in both the bouldering and the lead final?
Yeah, and I don't really know if he has a specialism. I actually thought he was more of a boulderer, but then he's so strong on the lead. So I'll have to dig a bit deeper.
Yeah, I think his results are suggesting that he's proficient in both, and he's come all the way through the youth circuit in both. I'm pretty sure he's been world youth champion before, so he's got a lot of pedigree from his career so far.
Rose, just 18. She was climbing at the FISU University Games, so she's done a lot this year in Europe.
Yeah, big season for the athletes. Some doing the bouldering have been going all the way since April, the lead climbers since June, and it's been really, really full on, especially if you had the European Championships as well, or the extra comps like the World University Championships. It's pretty much been a competition every weekend.
Yeah, it's true. It's been busy, but we are starting to come to the end of it now. We have this comp, then Edinburgh next week, and then Jakarta and a comp in Japan, but that's not a World Cup. So last few IFSC events.
I think a lot of the athletes are looking forward to finishing in Jakarta and having a beach holiday to finish the year off.
Yeah, very true. Bali will be packed, I think. So that's Team Italy there watching as Philip gets higher. Ryu rests underneath. A few have been trying to get something in here, like a little knee bar. She tries it. It doesn't look that good.
I think the route setters have done a good job there of making sure there's not much to get out of it. On one of our routes this morning, I was watching the demo and I was convinced that there was going to be a knee bar there, and then I came out this morning and they'd moved the hold so that you couldn't get it anymore. I was so disappointed.
Philip is upside down, using that method that pretty much everyone's used. He gets really upside down on that, resting with his toes, not the heel.
Impressively relaxed, just hanging with one foot and one hand on there.
So both looking in control. As we come up towards a couple more athletes to go before our cleaning break, which will be the halfway point. So this is really the only rest, the proper rest I've seen with that toe in, but it is awkward body position, as Billy was saying, to take especially your right hand off.
Yeah, considering that most people have rested here and then not actually managed to get that many moves further, I think it's the sort of rest that feels restful, but you're not actually really getting much back from it. Maybe just resetting your brain a little bit, ready to fight for the next section.
Yeah, well, she's going to have to. She's on the way. Philip is on this big move, so he uses the sloper, bumps up, catches it first go, and then he's got to either put a heel in, which is dodgy, or go for the toe. Oh!
And I think we're really starting to see a Crux section coming up here. A lot of athletes struggling. It's such a big move up to that crimp that then your body is sort of stuck down low on the pocket, and you have to get really high feet to bring your body up. Really difficult to do when you're tired.
Ryu uses that drop knee to get underneath the volume, which is nearing the transition point that is really difficult. She can't wait to get off these slopey holds.
Oh, definitely trying there. She made good use of her height there, doing a wide splits from the hold out left.
Needs to get a little higher with the feet though to make this.
Leading with the feet, coming into the section that we saw Hannah fighting with, and we lose her.
So she falls near the transition points. That white, it just takes it out of you those, and you're right, it's just after the rest, but that sequence must be full on.
Yeah, all the holds are really flat, and
but the athletes always seem to know, especially certain types.
Yeah, I think it's the amount of time that we spend in climbing gyms. I know me personally, I'm really obsessive about climbing holds, and I'll search through websites of if there's new ranges coming out and stuff like that. So I don't think everybody is as obsessive like that as me, but I think it's always useful to do your research.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it works. Because there's a section on the men's at the top, which we'll talk about if someone gets there, but the holds there, the route setters think will be quite hard to read for the athletes, but we won't spoil that. We'll talk about it when it's there. So another Slovenian is up. Rebecca Kamin from Slovenia. There she is, underway. And then Martin Stranik for the men is on the right.
Rebecca is a new name to me. I don't think I've seen her much on the circuit, but she was getting really great support earlier today. I think there was a class of Slovenian kids in, and she was getting so much support from them. So maybe she's a coach here or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, a lot of the kids cheering for her.
Yeah, it's good to see the Slovenians getting behind their athletes. Slovenian flags in the audience, all types going on. Yeah, her last competition was a long time ago. 2016 was the last time she climbed. So,
oh wow, she's had a big break. But I guess with this being a home event and there being an extra quota of athletes for the Slovenians, there's been the opportunity to field some new athletes, and clearly it's been successful for her, being comfortably in the semi-finals.
Yeah, she's right back in it. So she's on the left. This is Martin Stranik going really feet first through here.
Struggling to get the toe far enough. He's coming up a little bit short, and he's dropped back down to reset a little bit, maybe rethink his positioning and try and calm himself down. It's never what you want as an athlete, to have to back off from a section because it's not going quite how you think.
And presumably he would have read this as a feet first because that's what he did, but you don't know for sure that's what the others did, and you can't see the rubber on that hold as you walk towards it because it's in the shade, so you won't really know if his method's right or wrong.
No, and of course all the athletes have been in isolation and haven't seen anybody else, so it's just your best guess of what you think is going to work. And
well, he's trying again, goes into the pinch. Oh no, she's not off. Don't worry, it was just the camera. But she is starting to struggle, is Rebecca.
She's choosing to go left hand up to the thumb catch. She's going to jump.
Had that hand all underneath herself. And
yeah, it's tricky there. The athletes don't seem to be able to decide whether to go left hand or right hand first, and it doesn't seem to be the obvious best way. Martin's managed to get the toe up and is recovering now.
So he gets a toe, turns it into a heel as he's through that first part.
I see he's fighting on his face.
God, how bad are those crimps? That's the first time we've properly seen that yellow one. It's terrible.
And yeah, he's making this blue one look comfortable. I'm not quite sure how.
It's chalking on it. But the big move is coming, and it did take him a long time to go through that feet first sequence.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not that's juiced him too much for this next section. He's a really experienced athlete, Martin. Originally more of a boulderer, but he transitioned into lead in the last couple of years and has been really successful.
So he's into the pockets, matches, makes the bump look pretty good. Now needs to get the foot
struggling. Wow.
He's got to remove those toes though, and he's so stretched out, but he does it.
And getting both hands up has meant that he's got a bit more space for his foot, but
I was amazed he held the cut loose. I thought he was going off.
It was really impressive that he managed to match in at all. And unfortunately, I don't think he'll actually be rewarded for that in the scoring. But a good effort from Marta gets on this route. She's normally much higher up in the rankings than this, so this could be our first opportunity to see higher up into the route if she has a good run.
She's one of those, when you talk about sort of psychologically, it seems to get to her sometimes. You can almost see it affect her when she makes a little mistake. She can fight through it often, but she's one to watch for sort of frustration levels.
Yeah, I think so. You often see her having really big battles on the routes, and the times when she performs the best, it looks like looks much smoother. And yeah, I think you're right that maybe she gets a little bit in her own head and doesn't allow herself to climb as smoothly as she knows she can. So, but I think this white section might really suit her style. She's a very physical climber, and if she can get through that section efficiently, then yeah, hopefully those green crimps will be feeling much more positive.
And if Vita likes it, that usually means Molly Thompson-Smith likes it, so you can
Fingers
be
crossed.
more nervous
Fingers
in
crossed.
a little bit.
Yeah, those two have quite a similar style, and hopefully we'll see that later on.
So Giovanni is through that first part. Small pinches at the beginning.
Nothing casual so far.
Yeah, you've suddenly got to throw some moves in here. Flick your feet around from the slopers on the left into that.
Yeah, it's a nice change in pace. You have to go really slowly, and then as soon as you get out of that little teetering section, then the best way through this is just to pump from hold to hold as fast as possible and get off those small holds.
So Vita needs to find some rests around here, and she has immediately.
So far looking very in control.
Fully looking off that left, look at it.
And then we're into this first tricky section.
Yeah, not using the thumb as well.
Yeah, maybe it's just not quite rightly placed for a lot of the girls' hands, but cutting loose, but she's made that work. Hopefully she'll get the toe hook up now and be able to take a little bit of a breather, if not very restful, based on what the other guys have done.
Yeah, and this is a slightly different position with that right foot up, and she doesn't look like she wants to hang around for that long.
No, the high feet is going to put a lot more weight on her arms, so maybe just a chalk on each hand and then carry on.
And meanwhile, on the right of the wall, that is Giovanni falling on the feet first.
I think he'll be really disappointed with that.
So Luca bumps up to the big underclings, takes another opportunity to chalk. She's in fifth at the moment. Stasha on the top spot with 27 plus, but you can see all the names to come. Camila Pouget, DNS, she was injured, that's why she's out.
Managing to get a rest here in a slightly different place as some of the girls. See now if she can stretch really far right out to that foothold like some of the other girls. Yeah, swinging easily to it.
Well, she makes that look easy. There's a screw on to be had above on the pinch.
Physical clipping position, but she's made it look quite comfortable. And you can see the fight coming in now.
Cuts loose, swings and holds it. This is Burley, I tell you, this sequence.
Yeah, Vita really making it her style and throwing herself around.
Second she stopped trying to climb in a flowy way, she suddenly seemed to unlock it.
Yeah, she's just thrown herself between the holds, and it seems to have worked really well for her. And I think she looks the most comfortable that we've seen so far. Her left leg, wrapped underneath the yellow volume, is really sucking her hips in. She's actually managing to make this a bit of a resting position, where the other girls have been really fighting.
So good work from Vita Lucan. She gets something back and now needs to find out if she can crimp. Complicated part this. It's not as straightforward just by looking at it. There's a lot of moves that require sort of body positions.
Yeah, good feet, but the handholds are really, really small, as you can see here. So you're going to have to really use the feet. Oh no!
Was that left hand again?
I think it just fired off the hold. Oh, that's really unfortunate for Vita. She was looking great.
She was, and immediately looks disappointed coming down. He's really good, and I kind of want to see him in finals here. He's one of the athletes that I sort of ringed as someone who might step up a bit in front of this crowd. I mean, his own gym is only just down the road.
Yeah.
It's his own country.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, Doman's got so much experience and pedigree. He's been an overall all World Cup winner. He's won multiple World Cups, so he's definitely got the ability to do that. And looking at the style on this route, there's quite a lot of heel hooks, which he definitely really likes. So if he can make it work on the physical sections, and then he often finds really unusual resting positions using some ridiculous hipsy position. And yeah, if you can find something like that, he often has big breakthroughs on the routes.
Let's find out what form Domin is in. He was easy through that first part. He quite likes insecure moves like that. He's good at it, techie climber.
Yeah, certainly.
Lynn Vandermeer is on the left. She's at the end of the blues. So let's stay with Domin as he quickly crosses up and in. Resting down low before this Tufa-like part of the route. There is Lynn Vandermeer.
Looking comfortable so far. She gets a little bit of a rest here. She can clip and chalk before she has to fire through this powerful white section.
Netherlands with a big team this year, especially in the youth as well. I was in Dallas a couple of days ago, and it's good to see lots of youth climbers coming through from the Netherlands, which is always weird to me because it's one of the flattest countries you could pick as a climber.
You wouldn't expect them to have a good pedigree of climbers, but then they produce people like Jorg Verhoeven, who of course have been incredibly successful.
Something in them waters. Domin easy through this feet first part. Crosses under. As long as he doesn't lose one of those toes, you'd think he'd have a bit of a rest here and be on for the next part.
Yeah, Domin looking pretty comfortable. I think he's pretty happy with his feet above his head a lot of the time, so a good sequence for him.
No one's used the Louis method of clipping that draw. I think we can say it was a mistake, but at this point,
I think that's safe to say, and I hope we don't see anybody else doing that as well. Very stressful to watch.
Yeah. Domin trying to find the heels you were talking about, gets one in and looks really comfortable on a very bad heel hook.
Yeah, if anyone's going to be comfortable on a bad heel, it's Domin, even making something of a resting position of this.
So he chalks up and enters the pockets. Domin looking very, very relaxed.
Yeah, light work of that big move up here. See now if he can build his foot up onto that small jib. Taking the cut like Martin did, but definitely having a little bit more left for it.
He's standing on top of that volcano. I can't remember if it's dual text or not.
It definitely was dual text. Yeah, that would have been a stressful move for him, I think.
Big cross through.
Nice to see the fight coming in. Dropping that knee to try and get more into the wall. Just bringing his body weight low though, so he's got further to go to get to this next hold.
And Domin goes upside down for a sec as he comes back down. I think he was trying to work out the position to clip in. You could see what he was thinking with that big drop knee, but
yeah, I like the position that he was finding, but maybe not quite the right setup for the next movement.
Before Munich. And that certainly affected him for that competition. I don't want to describe in the detail he described to me of how sick he was, but let's just say he was very ill before Munich. So I hope he's recovered from that. And he's back out on the mats, and he was in the commentary box with me in Munich, and it was lovely just to chat to him. So experienced, a lot of knowledge to draw on for these comps. And Eliska, remember, she's won a gold medal in Briançon.
Yeah, she had a really incredible competition last year. She was looking in good form all season, and then just the stars aligned for her at that event, and she had the perfect performance that so many of us are searching for.
Yeah, she hasn't got another gold since then, but I always like watching her because she's a bit of a wild card.
Yeah, I think if she gets the right route, she can put a really standout performance in. Maybe not quite as consistent as some of the athletes that we'll see later, but certainly has the ability to give a big performance.
If you're watching this wondering where her teammate Adam Ondra is, as we said earlier, he's in a cave in Flatanger in Norway, along with Stefano Gisolfi and Jakob Schubert. So those big names are missing. They've gone rock climbing. But the women's field is stacked as usual. No one really missing from that.
Yeah, we've got Yanya later on, Chehan, who's been doing really well all season, and Mori, who we've not seen for a year or so it's really exciting to see how she stacks up to the field this year.
So that's all to come. But meanwhile, Sebastian Helenkier, he begins the foot first part. Drops down to rest. Right, how is he going to unlock this? He immediately goes feet first.
Yeah, this is looking good so far for Basti, getting set up into that second pocket. Easily into the toe hooks.
And Eliska realises how savage this part of the route is as she enters it. Oh, really awkward position.
Yeah, good stuff with her feet there, keeping both feet on for that roll under. Now we've got this crux section. Will she choose to go left hand or right hand?
She's setting up to go with the right and then maybe changed her mind.
Yeah, here. Coming back down. Little awkward match to try and rest her right hand.
So what is she thinking here? So she's pinching and then she's going to go up with the left to get... I don't know what she's thinking.
Looking for a completely alternative method here. Or drop knee toe hook. That's a slightly desperate position to put yourself in.
Yeah, Eliska's ever so slightly overthought this, perhaps.
Yeah.
And she does fall.
Got herself in a really awkward position.
Disappointment from her. You could see her just climbing her way into an impossible place. Looking a bit emotional. We'll stay with Sebastian as he starts to traverse out.
Yeah, good stuff here from Basti. He's through that, move up to the dish.
That
Still looking strong.
A brilliant position for a camera, this, to catch that face.
You see the chalk and the sweat on his face. Still looking quite calm though in this section that's most people have been working really hard in.
People forget how good that man is. He's got a lot of talent. I think it's easy to sort of look over them. He's not even particularly old, but you know, the ones who've been on the circuit for a while.
Yeah, but now he's a previous World Cup winner. He's been a consistent World Cup finalist, so he's never one to write off. And right now he's looking like he's here to do the business.
Be great to see him. He was in finals last year, in fact, in Slovenia, so it's a place that suits him, obviously.
And yeah, proper look at these orange holes. Really awkward to set into the correct place on this. Basti's looking great though.
It really is. Back to the pinches. Now I think I saw that sequence differently.
Yeah.
Now these are the holes we're chatting about where the crimps are different every time. They're textured, they're not straightforward.
Oh, he's fighting. I'm not quite sure if he'll be given the plus for that, but that's definitely the high point for Basti.
Awesome work from him. He makes a play for the finals. Our final athlete out before the cleaning break. Happens during the semis. Quick draw, still swinging. Well, that's our leaderboard at the moment. Looking for the top 8. Sebastian Helenko, we just saw him. 33 plus from him, followed by Marcello Bombardi, then Jim Pope, Nicolas Collin, Martin Bergeon, Stefan Schretz, Domin Skoffitz and Martin Stranik at the moment is our top 8. So Martin, unlikely to stay in that group. Sebastian, though, might.
Yeah, it's too early to say for certainty, but I think that's he's put himself in a strong position, definitely. And I imagine anybody who's getting well established into that orange section on the route is going to be putting themselves in with a good shout. We've not really seen anybody, well, nobody's got to the head wall yet, so clearly the route setters are following through, and we've got some hard routes here. Yeah, we have. I mean, the men's looks the women's looks really unlikely to be topped. I mean, it's time for Yanyu and Aimori to show us what they're made of. You say it's unlikely to be topped, and then you look down to the list of names, and suddenly you're like, oh well, they could do really well. They might really do really well too.
I realise people probably clip this, and that'll be up forever me saying that. As 6 athletes all top the route, but you know what I mean. It looks hard so far.
Certainly, it looks one of the harder routes we've had so far this season.
Everyone's fallen before the halfway point.
Yeah. We've barely even seen anything of this green section, so hopefully we'll get to see a lot more of the route later on with these top athletes coming out.
Well, that's the women's list. Vita Lucan, home favourite, is in the top spot with 28 plus. That just shows how many have fallen around that sequence, all near the 20 mark, down to Lana Skusek and Mattia Pozzi down at the bottom of the top 8. They're at 19 plus, and then everyone else falling around about the 20 holds. Hannah Moyle will be disappointed with that. Will it be enough? We'll have to wait and see, because those athletes coming up next, Natsuki Tani, first out after the break, so she gets the advantage of fresh holds.
It's certainly nice as an athlete if you qualify in 13th position, you know you're coming straight out after the rest.
So Jessie Pilt's still to climb, Mia Krampel's still to climb. It's massive names. Manon Healy, who is having a resurgence this year, she's still to climb.
Yeah, really impressive from Manon and Helen this season. Two really experienced athletes who...
The conditions are good, it's been hot all day, it's cool now in the evening. So Dayan Lee on the right, the prodigy of Zhongwon-chon.
Yeah, I think I might be wrong on this, but this is the first season that I've seen him. He's a really, really young athlete and sort of came out this season and has made a statement. I guess perhaps with COVID prior to that, he'd not had the opportunity to do many of the World Cups, so by the time he turned up, he was already at a really high standard and had an incredible boulder season. I think he was in 2 of the finals and he made the podium in Brixen earlier in the year. So yeah, obviously really successful in the bouldering, and it looks like he's got similar pedigree in the lead as well.
Yeah, and then Natsuki Tani is underway and looking good. So we had a break. I hope you managed to get a cup of tea or a drink if you're watching us at home. We've still got loads of climbing to come, and then the finals will be tomorrow evening. Nothing really going on during the day. And remember, Natsuki Tani has just come back from Dallas. I mean, she got a silver medal there.
Wow, I didn't even realise that she was at Youth Worlds.
Well, I had to double think about it because I was like, I know I've talked about her at the Youth Worlds, but I couldn't work out how on earth she got a flight back. But it's all obviously worked for her.
Wow, that's really impressive. She was at the World Games as well, so she's been to America twice in the last month or so. Man, she's had a busy season.
Yeah, she has. And it reminds you how young she is as well. So Natsuki Tani making this cross between youth and seniors, it's all a bit blurred when you're one of the best. Hopefully the jet lag won't be kicking her too much. And then Do-Yeon Lee going upside down.
Figuring it out. It looks like it's really difficult to see exactly where to place the toe when you're so far underneath it there, but found it well there.
Very stretched out, isn't he? He's going to try to crimp that hold on the way through, which he does.
Using what I thought was a foothold, but not for Do-Hyun.
There was a foothold in the women's comp, but I can't remember what it was. Might have been the last one, but everyone used it pretty much as a foothold, as a handhold, and it definitely
was this in Munich, and people were like, resting on it as well.
Yes.
Like, what's going on?
And the problem is, more people who touched it and chalked it up than everyone else thought it was a handhold. And then the route setters cleaned it during the cleaning break, and for the first couple they didn't use it, and then it was back.
Everybody figured it out again, determined to use this hold.
Yeah. Well, Natsuki Tani's looking good, but we've seen others looking fresh at this point, and then it all coming to pieces.
Yeah, she seemed to get through that first awkward section without too much trouble. Let's see how she finds this next bit.
She made that rest look really good on
Yeah, she looked casual.
Do-Yeon Lee with an interesting sequence. He's standing on the dual text, now switches to the screw-on with the right foot.
Choosing to drag that left hand. Interesting choice, but he favours that grip.
Looking chill as he comes through.
3 things on that one as well.
So Do-Yeon makes the clip, drops back down to rest on a hold that most just get through as quickly as possible.
Natsuki working into this green section. Perhaps we're going to be able to see a new high point.
Well, I think any chance of jet lag is out the window. She's looking good here. And this is a resting. Remember Vita, but this left hand can be tricky.
Hopefully we won't see her firing off the same as Vita did.
She's still locked in at the moment. She pops up. That's where Vita fell. So she's
manages to make it work. This looks like a big move.
Oh, blocked as well.
Really stretched off the feet. We managed to get to it in control.
You wonder what that blocker's doing. Just presumably to make sure it's accurate, because there is a big gap there.
Yeah, it could be there to stop you getting a heel hook later on in the route.
Yeah, Natsuki Tani with a big fall around the corner. Hadn't clipped that draw in.
But a high point by a few moves there, so that's going to be a good benchmarker for the rest of the girls.
Do-Yeon Lee is still going. Oh, then he falls going to the first of the red-orange pockets. I don't know why I think it's red. It's clearly orange.
I do the same as you.
Before the end of the semi-final, but if we do, we will, of course, let you know. So Helene Gencourt is out, as is her teammate Jules Marchland. And Helene is someone that you chatted about earlier because she was an IFSC route setter last year. I saw her working incredibly hard in Voronezh for the youth. And then, oh sorry, it's a flip here. So Laura Helene's next. Can't read the list. So Helene is up next and we'll talk about her then. But Laura Rogera is underway from Italy.
Yeah, this will be another really interesting one to see. Laura had a disappointing slip quite low down on one of the qualifiers today, so you would normally expect to see her higher up in the rankings. So again, it's definitely one to watch for a high point.
Could be a route that's good for her. I mean, there aren't particularly sort of jumpy moves in it. She can static out most of these, which is where she's at home with doing.
Yeah, in general the style has been quite resistancy and nothing too strange, so I think if she gets into those green and yellow crimps, she'll really like those holds. So yeah, it'll just depend on whether she can figure out this tricky white section.
So Jules into the pinches nice and quickly, scuttles his way through those. 4 quick drills in, and he begins now to go towards the first crux. And Laura is into the white section.
First few physical moves of this white section, still looking comfortable. Needs to get her feet out to the right volume now so that she can get into the undercut correctly. Or leading with her hands and getting quite stretched out, but I think she'll make this work, yeah.
Yeah, she only briefly cut loose. Eliska had a really good beater through there to manage to keep her feet on the wall. Easy through for Jules. Spins around, bumps into those slopey crimps.
Yeah, Yeah, still looking quite casual so far, but there's nowhere to hide from here onwards.
And Laura had to stand up right on her toes to make this. She is one of the smaller climbers there.
Yeah,
There's a heel.
definitely fighting a little bit, managing to stretch out to that hold.
Right at the end of her reach, this sequence.
Yeah, going a little bit past the clip, but I think she'll be able to, yeah, ooh, use of a heel here instead of the toe hook that we've seen from others.
And
looks quite strenuous, but she's being able to hold her body to the weight to the left really well, so maybe it works well for her.
Yeah, she got through that awkward clip. There's a moment when she looked down and the quick draw was the wrong way around for her. I just feel like,
panic.
Yeah. So Laura rocks up on the left heel, getting as much height as possible as she reaches to that undercling, but had to readjust, almost slipped.
She's having a real battle here, not finding this section very comfortable at all. Just take a moment to chalk up and try and reassess. Needs to find a way to bring her feet up a little bit higher, I think, so she can get something from the undercut.
Problem is that heel means you have to be lower than a toe
Yeah, the
hook.
locks are down. Perhaps the heel, yeah, was a poor choice.
She's got to unleash it.
Oh, no.
Second you unlock one of those heels, if you're in a bad position, there's not a lot you can do to stop yourself swinging back, and if you don't have the power in the arms...
Jules up in this key orange section here, putting a good fight. He's just sort of quietly made his way up to there with no fuss, and that was a strong effort from Jules.
It was, he'll be in the top 8. Provision route setter, and she just thought, well, she said to me that she realised that she was still climbing these routes really well, so why not continue to be an athlete? You know, if you're setting them and then sending them, you do start to think, and what a return season she's had.
Clearly she went to set them, was like, oh, well, these aren't as hard as I thought they were. I was like, no, I can still do this. Ridiculous. And yeah, she's come back with a vengeance, and she's looked really, really convincing this season.
Yeah, she has. It's not a gradual comeback for her. She's immediately been in most semi-finals. And you feel like I feel it's a matter of time until she makes the finals. Whether it'll be this year, we'll have to wait and see. But
yeah, certainly. I think she's looked, whether or not she's made the finals, she's looked on the pace with all of the other girls who have been making finals. So I agree. I think if all she needs is for everything to click into place for her, and the ability is there, certainly.
Good to see her back in a Team France jersey. Team France as well, quickly becoming one of the big powerhouses within the climbing community.
Yeah, they've had a real depth of quality coming through from the youth in the last couple of years, and names like Meji Schalk and Oriane Bertone and Paul Jempft, they're still youth athletes even, but they're making names for themselves on the World Cup circuit, and yeah, it's made the French team a name to be feared, I would say.
Yeah, and there's
really
more
impressive
to come, I tell you. Dallas, a lot of medals for the French team.
I can well imagine.
So Masahiro Higuchi looking good, as he should do in this easier part of the route.
Yeah, looking really casual so far.
Into that pocket that Billy can't tell us if it's good or not.
I believe Masahiro won here in Slovenia last year in Kran. So I think you may have maybe double check that one, but I think it was him.
So he's got certainly potential to do well here. He's on the right, Helene on the left. That camera is on it's a cable cam that comes across the arena. Yeah, he did win in Kran. So yeah, Masahiro has pedigree. He likes a bit of Slovenian action.
Likes it being in Slovenia, certainly, yeah.
And Helene fast into the rest, but will she work it out?
Quickly made it work. A little bit taller than Laura, and's been able to reach up the right hand much more comfortably.
Yeah, that dual text shining in the light shows how dangerous it can be.
Also choosing to go with the heel hooks, interesting. Not seen anybody do it, and now we've had 2 athletes in a row. Or perhaps she's going to change. No, she is sticking with the heel. See if it also holds her down low or whether.
Well, it does, but the difference in height you can see there, because she had the heel in, and Laura, the second she had to release the heel to make the next move, and that's what made her fall.
Yeah, Helen easily got the foot up and is now able to make a little bit of a rest. Masahiro getting into the meat of the route here. Still looking really comfortable.
It's one of those semi-final routes where down low, the first kind of couple of athletes, the Crux is in a completely different place from the actual Crux.
Exactly. Yeah, most athletes now getting up into the orange holds.
Helene resting in a different position. The high right foot stood up. Again, wants that knee bar, but isn't going to be allowed to have it.
contemplating what she's got to come. Maybe doesn't want to leave the rest because it doesn't look very nice above her.
No, it doesn't. Masahiro Higuchi is making good progress though.
He's approaching Bassi's high point. I think just one more move. Losing.
That happened very fast. I think there's something going on with the feet, and he looks a bit annoyed with himself.
Yeah.
Helene really working. Is a potential rest coming, but that's not it. But she will get it. She gets outright. There's a bicycle to be had on that green volume.
Struggling to stretch it out, but using a really deep drop knee to find the position.
And an awkward clip, but she just gets in now. So she'll be looking to rest if she can.
Maybe just for one hand, not finding as much of a rest as Vita did.
Such a shame for Vita Lucan. She was on for something then. Well, here we go. Natsuki Tani has the high point.
See the fight on Helene's face. There's so little texture on that hold. Oh, she's managed to hold it. She's lost all tension. Oh, man.
That was a slow motion fall there.
Man, it was like she pulled too hard on the right hand. She lost everything from the left hand. And then I think you could see it in his eyes that I think he fully believed that he was going to win at that event. And it was really incredible to watch. And he's followed it up this season. It was maybe a little bit rocky at the first couple of events, but then he found his footing and he's been back in the finals. And
he feels like a senior athlete now, like he's made that transition. He's here to stay, you know, considering he came last year from a double youth gold, and he was in that halfway house at that point. To see him regularly do this he's here.
Yeah, it was really impressive from Hamish, because as with so many of the athletes of his sort of age, the transition from seniors was tricky with COVID, and there wasn't many opportunities to get experience at the senior level. So he was just he's been thrown in the last year or so, but made the transition really, really well, and he's looking like a mature athlete this year, certainly more and more so as he's gone on.
So he's on the right, and Brooke Rabatu is on the left from Team USA, and the USA members have had a bit of a break last couple of weeks. So they went home, didn't come to Munich, and certainly Kyra Condi wrote on her Instagram that she felt that additional training time.
Yeah, I think nice for the Americans there that they didn't have an extra event in there, and having a few weeks like that to reset after the massive summer series where there was four lead events and 2 boulder events back to back to back. It's a really draining thing to do. So a few weeks back at home to reset and just sort of be back in your own environment it's really refreshing.
So let's see if the rest has done Brooke good. Someone who you put on your shortlist for finals, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. In quali, she had one really strong route, and the other was not quite so good. So, yeah, certainly has the ability here. It'll be interesting to see her through this white section. She's one of the shorter athletes, so perhaps reaching up on the next few moves could be tricky for her.
Has Hamish got a new tattoo there? Is that tape on the left arm?
If he's got a tattoo, subtly, I hadn't noticed. He snuck that one in. But I mean, he's good friends with Max, who's very psyched on his tattoos, so very possibly.
So he goes feet first, locking into those pockets. Hamish is really tall, and it's funny to see him so stretched out on that. Oh, nearly lost it. He flicks to a campus, bumps up.
Yeah, made light work of that section so far and still looking pretty relaxed.
And Brooke as well.
Brooke too, yeah, she's up through that tricky, reachy section low downs, found herself a little bit of a rest. See how she finds this section that Laura struggled with.
Yeah, well, she's got the toe, which is different. Look at the height difference it gave her.
Really easily. Yeah, I think that toe is really, really important.
So Hamish is at the first proper crux of this route. How powerful is he feeling?
Whoa, just jumping straight through the sequence. And you're right about that tattoo. I don't know how I didn't notice that.
Please ask him about the meaning of that one at some point. Hamish is freshly tatted and looking good as he starts to traverse towards the right.
Looking really strong. I think Hamish will like this section. Pure resistance moves, just having to squeeze the holds really tightly.
Reverses in a little shake. A lot of people have done that.
Brooke making good progress as well. Maybe going to try and manufacture a rest in this position with that toe hook.
Yeah, she's certainly got the clip in.
We saw this earlier though, where one of the athletes kept their feet over to the left, and then the transition over, she needs to get her feet all the way out right to that big green hold. Might be tricky for her.
I think it might have been Eliska Adamovska. But yeah, because those toes are good, but they leave you in a very vulnerable position when you've got a transition.
Yeah.
But
she's got herself all the way to the right-hand side of that white hold and she's done a really good job of transitioning. Still looking quite comfortable. You can see the tension in this position though, how slowly she had to match those feet.
I'm not sure this is a proper rest. What Vita found was pretty incredible. It's just maybe a shake.
Yeah, maybe more of a breathing position that Vita was just making look really positive. Hamish here, matching the high point as well.
He'd gone through that quick draw. I think he was going for broke.
Yeah, probably a good decision from him there.
Brooke is up and in.
Brooke too looking like a high point potentially.
Out she goes. She's ignored the quick draw in front of her face, trying to find either a position or knowing that she just needs to press on.
Really powerful move. This is a long way up to that hold. And makes it work. It's the first not savagely crimpy hold in this sequence.
And tries to bring the left through. She looked for the toe hook that had been blocked on the left.
Root setter's doing a good job there of forcing the sequence that they wanted. But that's definitely the high point from Brooke, so she put herself in a strong position. But crazy though, she's still not made it to the head wall. Neither of the men or the women.
Climber as well.
Boulder specialist who is now also a lead specialist.
Ridiculous, isn't it? He told me, and I've said this before, but he told me at the beginning of the season that he won't be in shape until the very end, and then almost immediately
made finals every weekend.
Yeah. So Molly is going on the left, which means Billy's getting nervous in the commentary box. His teammate in action. And Yannick slow and steady through those first moves. Molly did well at the British Bouldering Champs recently.
Yeah, picked herself up a podium. She was really pleased with. It's not normally her primary discipline, but I think she does herself down in bouldering. She's a really, really strong boulderer as well as lead climbing. Just perhaps not quite as experienced. Same as last weekend, she's got something written on her hands.
Yeah, big mole.
Yeah, bigging herself up.
Yeah. Which
trusts herself.
It's crazy because I mean she's one of the most confident people outwardly you can sort of meet. She's brilliant, and yet she definitely I think has that little demon that can get in her head sometimes and tell her she's not good enough.
Yeah, I think so many of the athletes out there are constantly battling with some level of self-doubt. So having little messages like that to know to trust yourself and trust in your ability, trust in the training that you're doing, and go out there to climb like yourself is really important. It's the best headspace that you can be in.
Plus we get to try to read it on air, which is always exciting.
You can't see it, we're here squinting at the screen trying to figure it out. She's got straight through that section there, which is good to see.
Yeah, so she's spending a bit of physicality down low, which I think is right, because if she can get through here into the greens...
Yeah, if she can just punch through this section quickly, I think it's okay to be a little bit more powerful and just make it work.
Yannick, meanwhile, doesn't know any other gear apart from powerful. He got through the feet first sequence easy.
Yeah, I think he'll be very happy on these pockets.
Look at this, he's just campusing up.
Yeah,
super
that
casual.
sounds about right. Spent a lot of time in the Frankengiro on pockets like that. Probably much worse pockets than that, so yeah, happy place for him.
And Molly has slowed a little bit on the left, but she's still on. So Yannick crosses through, misses the crimp the first time.
Finds it though. Straight up to that pinch, really casual. He's not made the clip just yet though, reach back down to that. Molly, she's through that tricky section, she's got a little bit of a rest here, and then she's got this last transition right before she has to battle with those miserable green crimps.
Don't worry, that wasn't your eyes, I think it was out of focus on that one. And Molly is resting well here, and this second rest position seems to be quite important.
Yeah, I think this one is really valuable just for settling yourself, because you know this next section is going to be uncomfortable.
So Molly checks the clock. Time not a factor for anyone yet.
Yannick up, challenging for the high point.
He had the energy to flick that right hand there.
He's getting a lot out of that heel.
He's ignoring the quick draw.
Yeah, that is the high point.
Wow, Yannick's taking ages on this quick draw. It was awkwardly over his leg. You are allowed to touch it like that. You can't
still
wait
not managed to get it in.
No,
he has. Oh, he's working on to the next one.
Okay, so Yannick double clips.
High point and resting. Casual for him.
Could we see our first top for the men? And Molly has slowed down and looks a little awkward through here.
Flipping back. Same as Vita, she's going to flick at that hold, like you said, Matt. Those two are very similar styles.
Oh, but she hasn't quite
Come
got
on,
the
Molly.
reach.
She's making it work. She can just get down to the bottom of that. Suck some weight into her hip. She might be able to get something back.
So now she maybe finds a position to rest. Certainly chalks up. Yannick Floey is near the top. Look at this.
Wow, incredible stuff from Yannick. He's broken the high point and now he's going for the top.
There is the top. Last sequence of moves. Oh, but his foot popped a little.
Fantastic effort from Yannick.
Really good work.
Very likely to be finals. Oh, and we've lost Molly. Start that green section.
Molly was in full fight mode. She did look like she got something back. And then that is Satoni Yoshida. So Natalia Grossman, the overall boulder winner from this year, hasn't found the same run of gold medals in the lead.
No, she's been consistent, but she hasn't quite got into those top positions. She's been in the final a couple times, right? Yeah, as last season she was sort of challenging to get on. I think she made some of the podiums, so maybe not quite where she was last year, but considering the boulder season that she's had, I can't imagine she's too disappointed about that.
She did have the photo moment of the year when she posed perfectly for one of our on-wall cameras in Chamonix. It was just amazing. Apparently she was looking at the clock, but it looked like...
She was just staring it down.
It looked so posed, it was brilliant. And I was just like, it must have been posed, but it wasn't. Apparently she was just looking at the clock and it happened to all work out.
She have her signature Natalia smile on.
Yeah, exactly that. Just looking directly down the camera. It was perfect. So half of the wall. So Satoni Yoshida gets announced by the MC. He's underway on the right as well.
Yeah, easy moves so far for Natalia. Just the warm-up before this white section.
Team USA, another team with depth in the squad, and again, through the youth coming. There's some good climbers on the way.
Yeah, I bet they were having a good time with the home competition in Dallas for Youth Worlds as well. Lots of representation for them.
Yeah, converted into podiums. So Satone rests his way through the first part.
I didn't realise Satone was so young, only 18 years old.
Have you started wearing those metal sticker things yet, Billy?
No, I was looking into these though because I was interested. I'd seen so many people wearing them. I believe they're little magnesium.
I heard
supplements.
titanium.
Titanium.
But this
okay.
might be rubbish. Everyone seems to have a different thing on it. I need to speak to someone who actually wears them.
Yeah, so it's just speculation from everybody else. But
I basically forget until I see him on screen. I'm like, oh yes, I must ask someone about that. But it is, yeah, a muscle thing. But
yeah, no, people are doing it, so maybe it makes a difference. Maybe it doesn't, but it's at this point it's something of a fashion statement, I think. So
exactly, it's almost like who's not doing it
yeah.
now? I'll try him. I'll be the test subject. I'll walk around my everyday life feeling stronger.
I think they'll suit you, Matt.
I think so. So Natalia rests on the left. Satone cruises through that feet first sequence. Natalia does look like she had quite a good knee there, but I think it's just the angle of the wall.
Yeah, impressive stuff as she managed to wiggle her knee into that position. Really stretching to keep her feet on there.
All the core needed as she drops down. We're coming up to the move where Molly had to thug it out.
Yeah, still a lot of tension in her shoulders there. If she chooses to flick, keeps the foot. Good tension from Natalia.
Yeah, you could see, I think if we had a side-by-side shot of Molly's method and Natalia's, same move, but just Molly's took so much more.
Yeah, she really had to go at that hold. Natalia's managed to get that clip in quite smoothly, and left foot is getting a little bit of a clamp on the green. That might help her to recover just a little bit. She's looked quite in control to this point, though. Chalking up on those crimps.
Satone is making good progress as well, not rushing anything.
Yeah, about to get to those green holds.
Sticks in the heel that we've seen most do. And Natalia just
Still chalking up on these miserable crimps.
doesn't look so miserable when she holds on to him, does it?
You're right.
That is a skill of hers. Okay, are we about to see a new women's high
Getting
point?
the clip in as well. It's good stuff. One more move to match Brooke. Oh, just short.
Hit that slope a bit too low.
Yes, I thought she looked quite good. She'd got the foot up high, but then just didn't get quite enough onto the hold.
She will be refreshing the phone, keeping an eye on things. 7 athletes to go.
Satone coming up into this sticking point here. See if he's got enough left for this move. High heel. Oh, it was close.
He'd gone through that clip as well. I think
Yeah.
everyone's just blasting through it.
Man, it would have been very impressive if he could have held that hold moving that quickly. A few of the comps this season, and she's not quite had the form that she's had in previous years, so
Luchka will be looking for heels.
she would
That's what
definitely
she'll
be looking for heel
for.
hooks. Yeah, you're right. Hopefully the crowd will be behind her for it as well.
Oh, it was a big cheer as she came out. Music stepped up a bit as well. 2 more Slovenians to come. 2 Olympians to come. Luchka is heavily taped with that right leg, but I think she's had it on for a lot of the season, so I think it's preventative more than anything.
Yeah, I think so. Most of the time when the athletes have got K-tape on something like that, it's probably not a particularly serious injury, and as much as anything, it's just there for a bit of peace of mind for the athlete to make it feel like there's something there supporting them, even if it's not actually doing all that much.
Yoshiyuki gets tangled up in the rope a little. Kicks it free, no problems to be had so far.
I expect Yoshiyuki to be enjoying these pinches.
I wonder how often he's climbed on a Spanish limestone tooth. He certainly looks good in them.
I'm sure if he went and climbed on them, he'd have a good time.
Oh yeah, crush those pinches. I think he's got one of the most sort of badass looking photos as well of anyone on the left. It's quite intense.
Proper stare down, yeah.
Yeah.
Not messing around. No smiles for us.
So I'm not sure who the crowd are cheering for, if it's Yoshiyuki or Luchka.
Getting hyped up for something. Easily got those toe hooks in for Yoshiyuki.
Luchka rests her way through. Watch the flexibility she has. She can find strange rests.
Yeah, she quite often puts her legs in weird tangled positions that it doesn't look like they should work, but for Luchka, they're really good. A little bit uncomfortable here. Managed to get her right hand up though.
There is Vita Luchka, concentration face on as she watches her teammate.
Yeah, she's figured that bit out well.
She's got the height to make a heel work here, but I think the toe is the way to go.
Yeah, you can see as well, she's managed to get that toe hook in quite deeply there, so I think she'll be getting a lot from that. And she gets another rest in just one more move's time. Yoshiyuki already getting up into this physical section here.
When will the pump kick in? Because it does seem to for everyone at a point.
Yeah, he's still looking solid so far. Anytime there's a pinch, I'm sure he'll be looking happy, and then... Yeah, looking strong still.
Is his pinch strength a bit legendary on the scene then? Are you guys sort of measuring it and thinking, oh God?
Yeah, I think so. There was a boulder a couple years ago in Maringen that only he did, where it was basically just double dynoing from pinches to pinches. Ever since then.
Pinch master. Well, he's going to have to crimp in a sec. But he's got a pinch in now. I mean, look at our crowd who are filling the auditorium. Yoshiyuki makes the clip. That's locked in.
Seeing the steepness of the wall, he's coming up into this tricky move. He's still looking really solid. See, get this heel up.
Now, we haven't seen this work so much, but he's chalking on it.
He's making that work. Luchka, man, she's not got the clip. Oh, wow, she was close to the ground.
An early fall for her. Team Slovenia head in their hands. I'll be a bit confused about that as well. Well, here is Yoshiyuki.
Still on a pebble.
Oh, it is a pebble, you're right. No, no. What an awful screw-in to put on a hold. It's a bit of no texture for you.
Right on the head wall when you're absolutely boxed.
Oh.
but that'll be get your fingers into really specific positions to get anything from them.
So a lot going on in the end of the men's route. Let's see if anyone can get through it. On the left, Jesse Pilz gets a massive reaction, and from Slovenia, Luka Potaja out again in a semi-final.
Luchka's been so consistent this season. He's been in almost all the finals and on the podiums as well. I remember from, it was in Briançon, he just came out to the finals route and just made it look like nothing. I thought it was going to be too easy, and then I think only 2 people topped it. It was incredible.
He did. Early on, he showed his skills in that one. So Jesse Pilz is climbing. Silver in the lead in Munich.
Yeah, coming off a really good result there. She looked in great shape in Munich, I thought. The best that she'd looked all season.
Yeah, Luka hasn't got a podium in the regular season, but he's come pretty close. But he did get the silver medal in Munich as well. So
yes.
So I have to see what he can do. But yeah, he's coming better and better at each comp. Jessie rests with straight arms. She had an unlucky start to the year, a few early slips and just not quite making it. But in the last couple of comps, she's refound that consistency, that form she's had.
Yeah, she was looking really good at the first couple of comps of the season, then just kept slipping off at like the second or the third draw for no apparent reason, and it seemed like it was getting to her a little bit, but she's figured it out now.
This is so annoying, comp after comp, all that training, and then something happens. And you sort of have to come to terms with that as well.
Yeah, it's not really any fault of your own, but you still feel like you've made a mistake. It's a tough one to deal with.
Luka is upside down, reaches through with the right hand, matches where his feet are. Almost pressing the foot there into the top.
Yeah, trying to find something with his left foot to oppose. In the end, just pinning both of his feet off and campusing.
And it seems to be the easiest way. Jessie rests on the left, Luka on the right.
Yeah, Luka through to these pockets before he's got to do this big move up to dish.
It's a late.
Almost forgetting to clip, but he got there in the end. Could be a problematic one, that, if you climb past it.
Yeah, they're pretty close together, aren't they, in that position? Jessie's had her rest now.
Let's see how she can make her way through this sequence. This is where Luchka got all tangled up. Flipping under, which looks really comfortable for her.
There is some of Team Austria.
Getting behind Jessie.
Getting a bit distracted from the climbing. Luka makes the clips, and now he starts to traverse. Less effort in his face than we've seen from some. Looking good and fresh.
Still looking really comfy.
Jessie continues to make progress on the left.
Another Slovenian that really likes a heel hook, similar to Domen.
They must go through some kind of school. I mean, they do it in the same way as well.
They turned up to climbing school as a kid. It was like, right, off you go. Climb with only heels for the next 5 years.
There's a movie to be made there. There's some montages for sure. Well, people are nervously looking on as both athletes almost Jessie is a bit lower. It looks the same from that shot. Luka is up into the head wall almost.
Coming up to this key move. Needs to get this right heel for some opposition. Still looking like he's got quite a lot left. Yeah, clipping in the position.
He looks chilled. So, crosses through and up.
Putting himself into a finals position, I think.
And Jessie's into the yellow and greens. Look at that crowd. Everyone's eyes are up. Jessie swings.
Great work from Jessie. I've seen that pebble that he has to stand on again there.
Oh,
and that's the high point for Jessie as well, if she can come in.
And she falls, as we see from a teammate, falling off that left green held.
Luka getting that really awkward rollover that you mentioned.
Jessie's back on the ground, looking up. Luka is still climbing. There he is on the right.
Oh, he loses his feet, gets it up high. Still battling. High elbow. Oh.
You can see the pause in his body as it tensed up.
Yeah, but a really great effort there from Luka.
Well, that should be a finals place for him, as with Jessie.
Yeah, both of them, I think, have put themselves in. Great work.
Now, the reason I like Taisai Homma is it always seems like he's about to fall off, and somehow he doesn't. And he has this brilliant style that's quite unique to him, and it makes for good watching.
Yeah, he's put some really incredible performances on this season, and he's been so consistent. He's been on the podium at least 3 times. Yeah, and considering he's not been on the circuit loads prior to this season, it's been really, really impressive.
It's funny with him because he seems to build momentum throughout the comp, because the amount of times he's come low in the semi-finals, and you almost write him off. You think, well, you know, he's down low, there'll be others. And then he puts in a high point that just doesn't get beaten.
Just needs a couple of warm-up routes to get himself firing.
Exactly, yeah. Mia Cramble had a great qualifying round.
She's coming off a really successful combined competition in Munich as well. She got the silver medal just behind Janja. I'm sure she'll be feeling a lot of confidence for her home event here.
No problems through the start for her.
Yeah, looking really easy.
And then Taisei Homer is through that bottom bit. Forearms taped up, I think. I'm fascinated by athlete tape. I need to stop.
Yeah, this is another new one. I've not seen these little rectangular patches before.
I want to know what they do, you know, and I'm not enough of a physio to know.
No, I can't help you on that one. This is novel.
All right, we'll try to discover this as well.
Oh, a nice little knee scum. I'm not sure if that's doing a whole lot, but I appreciate it.
No one else has done that.
No, it was nice.
Taisei looking total cruise in this.
Yeah, no tension in his face, which is often a nice telltale sign of how hard somebody is trying. Still looking very casual.
Chalks up and rests.
Mia too looking quite chilled through this white section, which has not been the case for everybody. It's really good to see.
There's a different methods of resting. She's using that beta of putting the right foot over and standing on the scrum.
Yeah, it seemed to work well for her, and she's done that stand up really easily. Not choosing to rest on that undercut.
No, and there's one to be had. She's shaking out that left leg though, a bit of calf cramp maybe.
Yeah. Stretching really far out to that fold.
Yeah, she's decided either hasn't seen it or doesn't need it. And it's not a mistake that the athletes don't rest. Sometimes they just don't need it. There's no point hanging around on something this steep.
Yeah, if they're still feeling good, maybe she spotted that there's potential for another rest in a couple moves, and she's going to try and use that one instead.
But
she's got herself a little bit past this clip.
Yeah, and that was more awkward than it might have been. But she's set.
Yeah, she can chill out in this position a little bit, get the next clip in, and might be a little bit awkward for her to untangle her legs from underneath the rope, but if she can rest there, then I'm sure she'll be able to figure it out.
Taisei Homer is still going.
Still looks really casual. Ratting up into that hold.
He's got the double tape job. He's got tape into a titanium patch. That's next level. Taisei's looking like he's going to make a head wall here. And Mia Crample as well. Wow, she found something.
Yeah, she's looking really strong on those small crimps. Great close-up of just how bad that hold is.
Yeah, and how calm she's looking.
Both athletes still looking really good.
Taisei drops the right hand down off that left pocket.
Maybe choosing... Oh, a nice drop knee. Can you choose to clip as well? Mia, she's about to go for this big punch up. Got lower feet than... she got it up now.
Oh, she held it for half a second.
Really close.
Taisei goes as well.
He did have the hold on that teeny little pebble over the lip, so that'll make a big difference for him.
He'll have to wait and see. We'll wait for his score to be confirmed. So Alex Magos comes on. And then Manon Healy will be in action. There she is. Rereading the route. It's been a while since these guys have seen it.
Yeah, Manon has been so consistent this season. It's been really, really impressive to see. She's been on in finals or at the level for finals all year round. It's been really impressive.
So she's underway. And Alex takes his time looking at the wall. And then his 6 minutes will start. You can see the clock flick over. As both were off the ground.
I think Alex will be looking for some redemption here. He had a great comp in Briançon, getting getting back comfortably in the finals and on the podium, I think. But then in Munich, I think he didn't quite have the competition that he was hoping for. He was consistent in both disciplines, but then wasn't quite in the combined finals. So yeah, maybe I'll have something to prove.
Yeah. He loves that lead season. He always does the boulder, but always jokes that he's never going to make it. He will one day.
I think Alex has an incredibly impressive record in boulder of basically always making semi-finals, but never making the boulder, the actual final, which I think that's it's remarkable, because for me, I think as soon as you make the standard to get to the semis is so difficult that if you can do that consistently, then you're definitely at the level to get into the final. So surely it will happen eventually.
He doesn't want to ruin his own stat, that's why. He likes it as a fact. So Manon is looking great as she's through the blues into the whites, but we'll sort of keep an eye on her because we know the hard bit's coming up and it's a gradual burn through these sequences. Little mistakes are punished.
Yeah, particularly through this white section where it's so easy to climb yourself into a knot and get stuck.
No problems for Alex as he goes out. That right foot trail, but then gets the heel.
I always find Alex gets his legs in strange positions on the routes. Really flexible and just seems to like throw limbs all over the place and do whatever he can with them.
Yeah. I've never looked at Alex Magos. Oh, hang on. Manon Healy is done early.
You see how disappointed she is. Must have had a really unfortunate slip.
Yeah, well, we'll check a replay of that, but Manon, really low fall for her. But Alex still continues. So we'll focus fully on him. Have a replay of Manon's fall after this.
See, Alex is trying hard, but I think he's still have a lot to give. Often an athlete that can grind out a lot of moves whilst looking like he's finding them hard.
So can Alex climb his way on to a finals position? He would love to. The crowd would love to have him there.
He's a crowd favourite. He's looking good now. He just needs a few more moves.
No hesitation with that sequence as well. Straight away with the left.
Really confident.
But can he flick his hand up into the pinch? He can.
Still some energy left. We'll see if he goes for the heel or if he leaves his feet down low.
So whether he goes for this clip will be a teller. I don't think he's going to. Oh, hang on a sec. He's got a knee scrub in there.
Oh, he's trying to find the position. Oh. You could see as he kept sort of trying to suck his hips further left, he couldn't quite find a position that worked.
Follows him into the arena. Alberto was injured earlier on in the season. He walked away from climbing a little bit, and also I think just needed a break after the Olympics. But now he's back, and he's back into semi-finals on a regular basis.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by Alberto actually this season, because I think coming out of a Olympic victory last year, which was a little bit out of nowhere, I think there must have just been so much pressure on him. And I don't know whether he's the sort of guy to pilot on himself or not a lot, but there'd be so much expectation to perform after that, and it's just difficult to live up to that sort of height. But I think particularly he came out and he sort of showed some quality in the bouldering season this year, which was really cool to see, and making some semi-finals and really looking on the pace. And yeah, particularly into this second leg of the lead season, I think he could be looking really good. He looked like really in contention in Munich last weekend alongside Adam and Jakob, and qualifying in third place today, so clearly he's here with intention.
Yeah, those injuries hopefully put to bed for Alberto Inés Lopez. And Xian So, well, there she is on screen, and she's one of probably 3 athletes who I think have a real chance of topping this route, and they're all in our final 3. So let's see if they can deliver here.
Hopefully some fireworks to finish us off here. Get to see what's going on this head wall, what the route setters have concocted for them.
Head wall's more complicated than the rest of the route.
Yeah, trying to look up at it now, I've got no idea what's going on. A lot of very small holds.
So you can see it there on your screen on the left. That's what we're talking about, that top part. But a lot of climbing left to go. So you think Alberto would cruise this, and he is at the moment.
Yeah, he's struggling just a little bit to get that toe, but...
Oh, well, forget what I said.
How on earth has he made that work?
He's crimping a toe.
That was absolutely incredible.
He was gone there.
He was completely gone. You saw he lost his left hand and he was just trying to find anything to purchase on, and it just sort of happened to come into this little pebbly foothold, and it gave him just enough compression to hold that.
He seems to just go too early.
Yeah,
from the upside down position into the toe.
Yeah. He's just blasted straight on after that. He's not taken any time to rest, which will be interesting whether or not that's a good tactic, whether or not he'll just chill out now and carry on as normal for the rest of the route.
Yeah, because it looked desperate for a while for Alberto, but now he seems to have refound his flow a bit.
Really impressive to reset from that.
Xian So will find a rest here. Looking super casual, she just stands up.
Yeah, not quite having the same drama as Alberto down low, which I'm sure she's happy about.
Doesn't rest for long and moves forwards.
And keeping her feet on with some nice flexi sequences, really nice.
Xian So is so impressive, and I really enjoy talking to her. And we've interviewed her quite a few times on the IFSC. Doesn't always see the light of day, but she's super intelligent and a really, really good ambassador for the sport. So it's great to see her doing well.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoy watching her climb as well. It's slow and methodical, but when she needs to be punchy, it's there as well. And it's like she's got that sort of arrow in her quiver, and she can just whip it out when it's necessary. But the rest of the time, it's just really safe, controlled climbing, intelligent climbing.
Well, Alberto just seems to have ignored that slip down low and is doing really well.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Refuses to admit that he almost fell off and is just cracking on, and I think he's just made his way into finals.
Yeah, it all caught him at the end there, but it was looking brilliant. Alberto, we think, is in finals. Wait for that score just to be confirmed. So we now get to focus on Xian So, who is
also approaching the high point here, I think.
Yeah, which is nowhere near the head wall, remember, so there's so much climbing to be done on this women's route.
She's resting on those holds before this big punch up though. High foot on that little jib, and she got enough in the tank. Yes, she has.
A bump up with the right hand.
She's got enough left to swap feet as well, which is going to make this much easier to come in.
All right, so this is high, and another rest. She's up at the top, 33, our new high point above Jessie Pilz.
It looks like this undercut might be quite a good hold, so maybe if she can get a bit back in this position, she might be able to get quite a few more moves out. Tiny little foothold there. She's got to do a powerful punch up into another undercut. Oh, I spoke too soon. It's still really hard.
Yeah, I thought she might be able to get something on the rest, but I don't think she did.
No, specifically to see you. You've got to put a show on for them. But if anybody is up for the task, it's definitely Janja.
Yeah, and you are just, and she's being pulled left, right and centre by media. She's considered to be a role model, and I always think it must be exhausting being a role model. I mean, you've always got to be on it, haven't you? And yeah, she somehow pushes it all to the side.
Yeah, she takes it all in her stride. She's really professional about it. She knows how to do it, and she'll be really happy and smiley, and she'll do the autographs. And yeah, I think she's a great ambassador for the sport.
And Sasha Lehmann is underway on the right. He had a brilliant qualifying round. Came out early, topped a route very fast. And now he's climbing in a second position as well. I think the camera might stick with Janja for a while here on this one. We don't have control over the buttons. So we'll watch one of the world's best cruise through this bottom sequence.
As you'd expect, making it look very casual so far.
Well, there is Sasha Lehmann. He was through the first bit, now rests down low, actually, which is interesting.
Sasha, I always find a very unpredictable climber to watch. Sometimes he has an absolutely incredible performance, and sometimes he'll just have a really strange slip or just a beater error quite down low. And yeah, I can never really say which version of Sasha's going to turn up.
Yeah, he terrifies his teammates on a regular basis. But Sasha, we'll find out what form Sasha's in a sec. And Janja makes easy work with this first part.
Oh, she's not messing around. She's got up there pretty quickly.
And that's the more traditional resting position. But she doesn't need much of it.
Yeah, quickly up into that undercut, standing up really fast to get her weight on it.
Now Sasha dropped a similar kind of big boosty move in Chamonix, so hopefully he's going to be okay here.
He's managed to get those toes up okay and he's having a little bit of a breather.
And now Janja waits in this, what looks like to be a better rest, if you can see it. Well, she is having to think about this. It's not an easy sequence.
Yeah, needs to make sure she gets her feet in the right position, doesn't get them too far ahead of her or doesn't leave them behind, as quite a lot of the athletes have done.
Bumping her way through, and we've watched her do this before to really make sure of a move. Sasha cruises upwards. Janja on the edge of his screen makes the jump up to the right-hand pinch.
Keeping that foot on and looking really comfy. Slightly awkward clip, but she still looks comfortable.
And there are those Olympic rings.
A nice version of the rings that she had with some flowers around them.
I thought it was good. You can do what you want when you won a medal. So Sasha's still going, as is Janja.
Not really choosing to rest, or maybe she just prefers the crimps to rest on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. She's good at timing herself as Janja. She doesn't tend to hang around unless she needs to.
Yeah, you'll see her sort of take a moment, and then when she's off, she charges.
Sasha as well is resting.
Taking a deep breath, still looking good.
An exciting end to our comp here. Janja reaches down in complete control at the moment to make that clip.
Yeah, still looking like she's quite in control. Not too much tension in her body.
She now nears, well, she must be pretty close to a finals place. There she is, yes, sixth, so that's guaranteed.
Easily through that move.
And now, the way the crowd usually go,
see that move was hard, but she made it work.
Janja tends to relax when the crowd gets behind her because she knows she's done enough, so we could see a real flowy Janja come here.
Yeah, often she hits the high point, realises, and then she just blasts off, and suddenly there's a smile on her face and she looks free.
And Sasha's doing well.
Yeah, I think he's also booked himself a place in the finals. Both athletes on the head wall for the first time this evening.
Janja is still on the wall, and that's the big news because no one else has up to this point.
Totally new territory for us. And making it look quite casual still.
She crosses left. Has to go a long way left before going back right. Sasha falls just on the edge of his screen, but he's into the finals.
You see the fire in her eyes there as she's moving through the sequence.
Sasha's down and on the decks. That's the last quick draw.
Oh, the crowd's getting deafening now.
So incredible to watch. No one has got close to this.
Looks like this. She's going to have to do an awkward palm down and get a really high foot here.
Oh, she's having to try though.
Classic weird sequence for a head wall.
2 moves to go.
Oh, it looks like she might have enough left to do it.
Go on, Janja. 1 move. She's done it. As she knows, she swings for a second.
Yeah, she knows it.
She turns, clips the draw, and with that we see our first top of the women's final and another colossal statement from Janja Garnbret.
Man, she wishes she's 3 clips clear, a third of the route past where anybody else has got. Wow.
I'm glad you had the experience of commentating on a Janja Garnbret moment, because I don't think people get it until you start speaking about her, because it's different, isn't it? You start to talk, and it's not like boring or it's not normal. We're just watching someone so good at what they do.
It's difficult to even comment on it, because it's just,
on the smaller side, and there are some reachy moves here, so it could be tricky.
Yeah, this will be really, really interesting to see how I gets on. We've not seen her for a couple seasons, but I think back in 2019 she was a real force to be reckoned with. Yeah, she performed incredibly in the qualification. As we can see, she's in first place, and I think it's definitely a bit of a different style on this route. That the Crux section up top, where we've seen Brooke, Natalia and Chaiken falling, is really physical. So it'll be interesting to see how she can transition her style in to make it work up there.
So 154 centimetres is how tall she is. And Al makes his way towards the left on a start that luckily we've seen no one falling. That would be a shame, but an awkward start for the men. Our last climbers. Tomorrow is the final. Only 8 have made it through, or will make it through. Will these 2 be in that final 8? Long way to go, especially for the men. Mori needs to do less climbing, probably harder climbing to get there.
Yeah, she's got to do battle with this Cruxy, well, the white section and then the Cruxy green section. Yeah. Lots of opportunities to make mistakes on that women's route.
Ao is easy through.
Yeah, looking really comfy so far.
She rests on the slopers, then crosses through underneath. Al, meanwhile, goes inverted, just missing the edge of that dish with the left foot, but I think it's in enough.
Yeah, he's managed to get his other foot in right in the middle at least, which will hopefully make up for it. And no horrendous cut looses like Alberto.
No, really controlled from him.
Wow, having to jump through that sequence that we've seen the other shorter girl struggling with, but she's made it work.
So both are still here. Now Yuri Kuza is about to put a heel where his hand is. Oh, he's not. Forget me.
There's another hold that looks just the same as this, just a little bit higher. I was thinking the same though.
So he goes into the pocket now, needs to make this big move that caused a few people some problems, but most have cruised it in the top 10.
Looking okay.
Ooh, thought about a heel, changed it mid-sequence.
Yeah, I getting this nice undercut rest as well. I think this will be key, this white section transitioning over to the right for her. She can do a good job of this.
Yeah, but she can't rely on that stretch. You can see how far out that is.
Really long way to get out to that hold.
Well, she's having to cut loose in a hold that no one else really has.
No. But if there's anybody who can do it, have a bit of a nightmare on a move like that and then just recover and crack on, I think it's probably I.
Well, she's got one more of those to come and then she can get on with the crimps. Au is through the traverse on the right.
Yeah, heading into that orange section, which will decide whether or not he makes the finals.
Such a nerve-wracking moment for the supporters and coaches. There's nothing you can do. Huge move. That was a Molly-style swing.
Taking, flicking around. Making it onto the head wall. Ow, sorry. I think that will be him in the finals. Making those holds look a lot better than they are. You can see the close-up there. He's literally just holding pebbles. Still looking really good.
Yeah, both athletes on the wall and in action here. Al climbing really fast though. He's in the final moves as we watch swing over.
Greens. Choosing not really to rest once she got out there. It seems to be working through comfortably on these green holds.
Yeah, shot of the feet that she's got to work with, trying to find some kind of a purchase. Left hand on the crimp, shakes out again.
Big footholds, but really slippery. Easy to slide off.
And we lose. Ow, there he is.
Fantastic effort from him up on the head wall.
Yeah, he was right at the very top in the last triangle volleys before he fell. So good to watch this though. It's a completely different style. Loving the crimps.
Seeing the fight from I now. She's got this big move to come though, where we've lost some of the athletes. So you have to really punch up here, and there's no way around this.
She
makes it work. See how she finds this undercut now as well. Oh, she's battling, but she gets into it.
She actually topped out both the qualifying routes, but was knocked down due to her time. So
yeah, she hung on for so long. Wow, an absurdly high heel, cranking her knee in. She makes the move that Chaikin fell on.
Yeah, now we're starting to get into Yanya Garnbrett territory.
Yeah, she's got an incredibly long way now to match Yanya's high point, but she's going to be comfortably in second place going through to tomorrow's finals.
So that's what she's got to come. Goes left, then goes right. A jump at the top, as usual.
Oh, this is great. This is really setting up a showdown between these two for tomorrow.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And if it comes down to count back, of course, and they both top out,
this will be really important for her. If she can get the top here, it could make a big difference tomorrow. So she'll really want this. She'll have heard the crowd. She'll know that Yanya topped as well.
This is why people need to watch semi-finals, because stuff like this happens. Yeah. So she crunches upwards.
Still looking really good.
But it's a big jump to her.
Yeah, long way to go. She got the power in her legs. Oh, no!
So one hand on it, but not a match and not a clip, so that will not count as a top.
I know if I was Yanya, I'd be quite happy to see that going into tomorrow.
That could be vital for tomorrow's action. Well, we'll have our top 8 confirmed to you in a minute.
A really fantastic effort from that from Ai there. She might need to be smuggled out the back so she isn't stuck playing autographs forever.
So that's the confirmation. Ao Yurikuza, Yannick Floe, Luka Potacha, Sasha Lehmann, Yoshiyuki Ogata, Alberto Hines Lopez, Taisai Homa and Satomi Yoshida make up our top 8. Alex Magos just being pushed outside 33 plus, and lots of athletes falling around that 33 plus zone, all the way down to Sebastian Helenke, Jules Marchland, Doyon Lee, Jim Pope did well to start with, left in 16th, and Domin Scoffit's down the bottom. A couple of athletes left to see their scores. Shame for Domin, he would have wanted a little more than that.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he quite translated it in the end. He looked like he was a little bit disappointed when he came down off the wall.
Giovanni Placchi down the bottom, an early fall from him. So that's our 26, and now you know our top 8 for the men. Exciting finals will take place tomorrow on this awesome new wall that's been built. First time being used here. Still with Yanya, she deals with athletes, coaches, everyone. Still chatting through the route though. Love to hear what they're saying. I can't through my feed. Maybe you at home can.
Saying, yeah, the route felt really easy. I could have done much harder than that.
Well, top 8, Yanya Gambra. We just saw her. She leads the way with a top. Aimori Shanso, Jessica Piltz, Brooke Rabatou, Mia Crampel, Natalie Grossman, Helene Gencourt. Great to see her in a final. I said it might be a final. She's only gone and done it.
Did it.
But she bumps Molly out of the top spot. So she's down in 28 plus. Then Vita Lucan, both those falling in exactly the same spot. Which is funny because they are similar style of climbers. Then Stashigeo just outside of the top 10. Panamoy will be disappointed not to climb in a final, as will Natsuki Tani. Lana Skusek down in 20th, another Slovenian athlete. Look how many Slovenian athletes are in that. But disappointment, especially for Luka Rakovic. Again, she would have wanted to go a bit further. Finally, Camila Puget down the bottom. Well, she didn't start because she was injured. But Lynn Vandermeer, she fell the earliest of 16 plus. Right, ladies and gentlemen, time for us to say goodbye. Thank you so much for Billy Rydell joining me in the commentary box.
Thank you for having me, Matt. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, hopefully it's persuaded you to come and do more with me, and I would love to have you because you are a pleasure.